Hari Om and a very good morning to everybody. I welcome everybody to the morning of 8th of August. So let's discuss today the last part of Sthita Prajna Lakshana. So yesterday we saw in the 68th verse what Lord Krishna told to Arjuna, O Mahabaho, one who has restrained the senses from their objects is firmly established in the transcendental knowledge. So Lord Krishna calls Arjuna Mahabaho. In order to attract his attention, Lord Krishna tells that you are Mahabaho. You are not an ordinary person, O Arjuna. So it doesn't suit you to go or run away from this battlefield. So you are a Sthita Prajna Purusha. So if you control your all sense organs, then you shall be established in the transcendental knowledge. When you are established yourself in this knowledge, or you obtain this supreme knowledge, in that case your intellect will be purified, and with a purified intellect you can easily control your mind, guide your mind, and then your mind can also guide your senses, and you can easily control all of them, and you will be the master of your mind and sense organs. So thus you will be firmly established in that knowledge, and you shall remain blissful. So having said that, now what Lord says in the 69th stanza, let us see. Yani sa sharva bhutanam tashyam jagarti sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sani sa pashyato munihe. Ya means which? Nisha, night. Sharpa bhutanam, of all living beings. Tashyam, in that. Jagarti is awake. Sanyami, self-controlled. And bhutani, all the creatures. So he says, Lord Krishna says, what all beings consider as day is the night of ignorance for the wise, for the Sthita Prajna. And what all creatures see as night, that is day for the introspective sages. So what is day for ordinary people, that is night for the self-controlled sages, and what is day for what is night for the ordinary people, that is day for them. It is vice versa. So we ordinary people think material enjoyment to be the only purpose of life, to get more money, to get more status in the society, to get more salary. Nowadays success is counted as how much money one youngster is getting in a year. So that is the success. So for us that is success, and that is the real purpose of life. So attaining more money, more objects, we think as our success, or we call it as our day. So the meaning of a day or the broad light is this, that is our success. And if we are deprived of all this materialistic joy in this objective world, then for that is complete darkness for us, and that is night for us. On the other hand, for the wise and self-controlled people, sense enjoyment or indulges in the senses, that is night. So that which is day for us is night for them, and that is very harmful and destructive, so it is night. It is lack of light for them. It is complete darkness of ignorance. So for their soul it is night, what is day for us. and they consider refraining from indulgence in the sense and get this temporary joy that according to them, that is they consider as to be their date. So refraining from the objects that which drag us towards the darkness, if you refrain from that and you elevate your mind towards the higher knowledge, then that is like bright daylight, that is like bright day for the wise people. So the Lord says what is night for ordinary people, that is day for the sages. And what is day for the sages, that is night for the ordinary people. So is it not the right thing that Lord Krishna has pointed out? Here if we take this stanza in another state of consciousness, here night means we can't see the names and forms as because it is dark. In the darkness we can't see the world of objects, names and forms. So man of self-control, when he has quietened his mind and intellect, he rises himself to another plane of consciousness. He goes to another level of consciousness, having obtained that knowledge. That the world familiar to him, the world of object no more exists for him. The world of object in which we live, that no more exists for him. So just as when we are awakened to the waking state after seeing a dream, we were in a dream state, and in that the world of dream, sometimes we enjoy in that world of dream, sometimes we suffer in the world of dream. But the moment we get up and we are awakened, that time either it was enjoying or suffering in the dream world, that completely rolls away. That is vanished completely. That dream state does not remain when we are awakened. So we can't experience both the dream stage as well as the state of awakening together or simultaneously. If we get up, then dream world completely vanishes and we see the reality of this world. So when we are awake in the new dimension of our consciousness, then the world familiar to us when we were in the dream world, that completely vanishes. So the self-controlled men, the same thing happens. According to Lord Krishna, this world of objects, this is a dream world for them, because they did not know the reality. It is all a maya for them. So once they realize and they get the absolute knowledge, then for them this world of object does not exist at all. Like that dream world, this also rolls away. He experiences a greater world of joy and happiness, and the familiar world in which all of us are living, a world of sorrows and tragedies, disappointment and dejection, the world of desire and passion, the world of temptation in which we are all living. This contagious world becomes meaningless for that realized soul, that who got the absolute knowledge and becomes wise. So this world in which we all are awake, this world of body, mind and intellect, that which is a day for us, that becomes absolutely a night for those wise and realized soul. So the man of perfection is asleep in this world, because he has elevated himself to another world. He is not recognizing that world. He is now in another dimension of consciousness. The world familiar to the limited ego is no more available for that person. So that egocentric entity has awakened to another level of consciousness. So for him, this world of day is no more a world. It is a night for them. It is totally ignorant, a world for ignorant people. So he goes to another label. So rightly, the Lord says, whatever you see, O Arjuna, this is all a Maya. This is totally a darkness. So you elevate yourself to another world of consciousness, and from there you will see this is only a dream world. And then you will not feel bad what you are going to do. Understand the reality, the real truth of yourself. Having said this, then after that he goes to the next verse, and in the next verse we will see what Lord says. आपूर्यमाणमचलं प्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमाप प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तत्पत्कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमप्नोति न कामकामी. So here Lord Krishna tells in a nice way, he explains to Arjuna, just as the ocean remains undisturbed by the incessant flow of waters from many rivers merging into it, likewise the sage who is unmoved despite the flow of desirable objects all around him, he attains peace, and not the person who strives to satisfy his desires. One who strives to satisfy his desires always remain disturbed. There is no peace in his mind. But on the other hand, the sages, the realized souls, they are just like that ocean into which many rivers flow, but still the ocean never rages itself, neither depletes itself. It remains undisturbed in its own place. Similarly, this remaining in the world of objects also, there are lots of objects which attract these wise people, but wise people always remain undisturbed and happy. Apuryamanam achalam, filled from all the sides, remains undisturbed. The ocean maintains its undisturbed state. All the rivers of the world constantly empty themselves into the oceans. Even in rainy season that happens, still the ocean neither overflows or gets depleted. So similarly, the realized souls remain unmoved and quiet and peaceful in both the conditions. Both the conditions means while they are getting lot more so-called comforts and all that, or they are deprived of all the objects. So they use the objects for their own living. But when the objects are not there also, they are not at all worried or sad about it. So while utilizing the sense objects for bodily necessity or being bereft or deprived of them, in both cases they remain absolute calm and quiet. Only such a sage can attain the peace. One who remains undisturbed in both the cases, so they can only attain peace. And next, now in the next stanza, 71 stanza of the second chapter, what Lord says, Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumangsharati nispruhaha nirmamo nirahankaraha shashantimadhigacchati. That person who gives up all material desires and lives free from a sense of greed, proprietorship and egoism. Three things God has now again told. A person who lives free from a sense of greed, proprietorship and egoism, he attains perfect peace in his life. So Lord lists the things here that disturb our peace of mind. Earlier he has told us 8 ladders by which we go down towards our fall. Kamat krodha vijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti भ्रंसात् स्मृति भ्रंसात् बुद्धि नाशात् pranasyati. So if we think of a small thought enters into our mind, then it converts into attachment. Attachment is converted to desire, or it creates bhashana. Bhashana gives us desire. Desire is turned into lust, and lust into anger, and anger delusion, and after that delusion, when it takes place, complete destruction takes place. He had told, now again he is telling these three things. It reminds that if these three things will be there, it completely disturbs our peace of mind. So Lord tells Arjuna to give up. Through Arjuna, Lord tells to everybody to give up these three qualities. So one is material desires. So that several times we have discussed. If we fulfill our material desires, the more we are thinking that let me fulfill this one desire, after that no more desire. But it is like adding ghee to fire. So it keeps on burning and burning and burning and becomes too much devastating. So if we are, then we are trapped by those our desires. It comes in a subtle form like bhashana, and then it expresses itself desire and loss. So hence we want more and more. If not fulfilled, there will be terrible anger. So that is why at the seed level only the material desires are to be killed, are to be removed, not suppressed. Then ego. Most of the quarrels and fightings and misunderstanding in this world take place due to our ego. So our ego does not allow to accept others' supremacy. We think I am the supreme authority. Why someone else is going to tell or interfere? So that's our ego. So ego is one of the most vulnerable reason for quarreling, misunderstanding and everything all in this world. So this way the peace is completely lost. So peace is not to nurture ego but to get rid of it. So if you want peace in our life, do not nurture your ego. Rather try to remove it, try to get rid of the ego. And proprietorship. When we do something, we always think that I am doing it. I am the proprietor. Because of me only all these things are happening. Either it is in your own small family or in the society, in the institution where we work, in the larger field also, people want to take credit always, proprietorship. I have done. And because of that, we lose the peace of our mind. But actually, it is God who does everything. Bina God's willing, पत्र भी हलेनी बोली कह जाए तो भगवानंकर इच्छा रे पूरा पृथ्वी चालुची. He is the master. He only does everything, and according to his instruction only we do the work. So we come empty-handed, we go also empty-handed. What is there for us to bring or take from this world? Nothing. But then we don't realize, we say that I have done. So these proprietorship, when we don't get, then our peace of mind is completely lost. So hence, these are the things, the material desires, ego, proprietorship, they always totally disturbs us and our peace is completely vanished. So all these, if we give up, then we get absolute peace. And that will happen when we devote ourselves to the Lord, and then we concentrate on that higher and elevated thought. So then God gives us prasada. In that prasada we get that knowledge, supreme knowledge. Then the last stanza of this particular chapter, where we had been discussing Sthita Prajna Lakshana, God says, Esa Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Shyamantakalephi Brahma Nirvana Mruchati. O Partha, such is the state of an enlightened soul. He is summarizing that having attained it, one is never again deluded. He never falls into the pit of senses. Being established in this consciousness, even at the hour of death, one is liberated from the cycle of life. Janma, Mrityu, this cycle, he is liberated and then he attains moksha. After doing all these, one finally gets moksha. So he does not fall in the cycle of life and death, he reaches the supreme abode of God. And that is possible when first initially we start actually, where from? We start from avoiding indulgence in the sense organs, controlling our mind and elevating ourselves to a higher goal, higher thought, and constantly if we can do it, and then we are going to achieve this state slowly, slowly. It is possible. Let us all once more revise or read actually the Lakshanas of the Sthitaprajna, and whatever possible out of that, let us try to adopt in our life, and that definitely it's going to elevate our personality. Thank you very much. Hari Om.